So Jennifer wrote me like this hate mail earlier and was like, "Hey, let me moderate, or I'm gonna cut you off from having beef jerky and unlimited like beers
I
and
did.
whatever and chocolate cake." And so since she blackmailed me, she's gonna moderate tonight.
I
So
am.
ladies and gentlemen, Jen, the professional blackmailing fan.
And this is coming from our professional Astros fan. Okay, that's the one dig. Okay. Welcome to the Pundits Pundit, everyone. We have a great show tonight. We're going to go over the U.S. government versus the NFL blackout rule. We're also going to discuss Carl Anthony Towns' mission for good health after COVID. Gee versus NCAA and the missing sports science handbooks. I wonder if Dan Snyder is on the NCAA board under an unknown name. And to get things started, we're going to go ahead and start off with U.S. government versus the NFL blackout rule. So, Jacob, I think this one was yours. So,
no, this one was. This one was Jay's. This one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. I apologize.
That's Denzel's. Explain this a bit, Denzel. So we're gonna go into this.
So basically what happened was way back when, long before streaming services and contracts and all of that, there was a tiny rule called the blackout rule, which basically stated that if you did not live in that team's home market and they didn't sell out, then the game was blacked out. So, for example, I came up a Houston Oilers fan. So if tickets didn't sell out in the Astrodome, they wouldn't show the game on local TV or anything like that. Pete Rozelle had a strict rule: either buy a plane if you want to watch the game, buy a plane ticket, fly across the country, buy a ticket to the game, and go to the game. It raised all kinds of hell. The U.S. government actually ended up getting involved. It ended up ending, but the reason why I came up with this topic was because, people talk about the greed of the NFL nowadays. Well, that stretches long back, you guys. It just wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't paid attention to as much as now. This was his way of, well, hey, we to raise more money for tickets, or not raise more money for tickets, but to get more ticket sales, we're going to black out the game, and then you got to go, even if you have to fly across the country to do it. So, for example, in my case, if I had to go watch a Oilers game growing up, my parents had to buy a ticket, or we couldn't watch it on television. Now, of course, all of that has changed. Now we are in an era where, of course, everything is localized still, unless it's a nationally televised game, like say a Fox Game of the Week or Sunday Night Football, anything on primetime, but localized, like pretty much okay, like Jacob, he's gonna get the Falcons games. Scott, he's gonna get the Miami Dolphins games, for example. Jim's gonna get the the Carolina Panthers, sorry, the Charlotte Panthers, may as well be.
The Bobcats.
Yeah, nowadays they will show locally, but had this have been 40, 50, 60-ish years ago, it wouldn't have been possible. It literally would have been blacked out. We wouldn't have been able to watch it. But it took the intervention of the United States government stepping in, and Pete Rozelle reluctantly ended the blackout rule. But again, like I said, I brought this up because it speaks to the greed of the National Football League. Just wanted to highlight on that. But go ahead, Jen.
That still happens in other sports, though. That still happens with MLB all the time. Like, for whatever reason, the Orioles are blacked out in the Raleigh-Durham area. No, wait. The Braves are blacked out in the Raleigh-Durham area. They're here. Charlotte's closer to Atlanta. Orioles are blacked out in Raleigh-Durham. No, are blacked out here in Charlotte, but are live in Raleigh-Durham. And again, it's easier to get. It's half of 167 other from Raleigh, but it's just weird, and I never understood that because the price of tickets aren't cheap. Like it's real. Like, I mean, even for the and the NFL has changed the ticket pricing. Used to be with my father's been a PSL holder since 1995 for the Panthers. The Panthers actually started the PSL licensing for the entirety of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the season, the tickets were just even like the same price across the board. Whereas the NBA has always had a fluctuating ticket value. Like the Lakers would cost more, or at one point, the Cleveland would cost more. Your favorite player when he was in Cleveland, I forgot their name right now. I'm sorry, y'all know what I'm struggling with. And but now that's what the NFL has gone to. So like, it's weird. It's jacked up. Like the Tampa Bay game tickets, individual tickets were more expensive than the Sam Mills Keep Pounding game.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. But also, I think as far as ticket prices, it goes by region. Like, okay, for example, Scott, question for you. Have you ever lived in the Northeast? I mean, like New York, New Jersey, New England region. Have you ever lived in the Northeast?
No.
Haven't? Okay, then. But you've been there, of course.
Well, I've been there. Yeah, I've been all 50 states for that matter.
Okay. With that being said, would you agree that ticket prices for, say, a Yankee game I'm just giving an example here. A Yankee game in July would be more expensive than, say, a Detroit Tiger game in July?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just more expensive, like in the Northeast, around the New
Everything is
York, New
more
Jersey
expensive in the
area.
North.
Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, everything's more expensive in the Northeast and the Midwest.
Yeah. And in the West, yeah.
And if you want to go expensive, what about the income taxes that you have to pay up in New Jersey, New York, and so forth? Yeah, there's a lot of money.
I think it's Philadelphia, New York, and Chicago, maybe LA, but those three cities are the ones I can think of off the top of my head that you have to pay both income taxes for the city if you just work there, even if you don't live there, if you just work there.
You still got to pay, yeah.
You still have to pay the city to work there, and then you have to pay to live there. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, back in Michigan, you have state income tax and you have the federal tax. In Florida, we got it better than any of them. We don't have state income tax. We just pay the tax.
Yeah. Texas, we don't have state tax either.
Yeah, and I don't think Tennessee does either. So there's a few. And
that's
Vegas,
right.
Nevada doesn't have it either.
Yeah, Nevada either. Well, Jacob, what do you think? How the government coming in and having to ruffle Pete Rozelle's feathers and force him into a corner?
And I'll bring and by the way, yes, Scott, you're right. I lived in Tennessee 6 years, so that's absolutely true. But
What's
no,
that?
I lived in Tennessee for 6 years. It's absolutely true about Tennessee. Right. But here's the thing. You brought this up about their blackout rule. They were specific. They bent that rule a little bit. I can tell you. Well, I can absolutely tell you because there was the Chicago Bears against the Houston Oilers in the Astrodome with a ton of empty seats on the CBS noon game in 1986. There was a pile of empty seats, and then the rest were Chicago Bears fans. They have all of that. And the thing is, there was the next year they played the Giants. The Houston did. Both Super Bowl champions. They definitely weren't going to black out a Chicago Bears game, and definitely not the Giants game in those days. Mm-hmm. They bent those rules. That was the thing about Rozelle. He had it. He was bending the rules to keep from having a crap game on the thing so they have their ratings. That was his deal. But really, overall, the biggest thing by itself is the NFL was not the same money grab it is now. It wasn't. It just wasn't. No. The money here now is ungodly. It's in the billions.
It's more obvious now. It was still there.
It was
more decorum. We've lost
there,
diplomacy. We've lost decorum.
Yeah, but let me point something out to you guys, though. Living in Metro Detroit, okay, if they didn't sell out the Thanksgiving game, that thing wasn't being televised locally. You'd have to go to Ohio to watch it, like Toledo or whatever. So I can remember many times what would happen is in order to get the game on TV, companies would go ahead and buy the remaining tickets by the 72-hour deadline just to get it in. And maybe Rozelle, if it's under, because they've already sold the tickets. But can you imagine this? You live in a town where your team plays one nationally televised game a year on national TV, and you don't even get to see it in Detroit. So you talk about how that blackout rule, I know it firsthand having lived there, although it didn't affect me a lot because once I got in the media and I used to go to the games, whether they were on or not, and I would cover the game, so it really never mattered. But that doesn't stop the masses from not being able to watch it at all either. But think about it. The only game you could watch would be the Dallas Cowboys game later, but you didn't watch the Lions game. You know?
See, the blackouts, I hate blackouts to begin with. I always have. It's like,
they're stupid because it's losing fans.
It loses fans, and there are people that just cannot afford to go to the stadium.
Yes.
They can't, no matter what their situation, especially now. I'm just going to give this as an example. We're talking 2022 here. It's like I hear stories of this all the time. I mean, my mom does volunteer work. I mean, helps, gives out food and stuff like that. They're giving out more and more and more in a 40,000 person town. More and more and more. You think these people, I mean, they might like to watch it on the television. Every one of them will probably have a phone to be able to watch the thing. Do you think they can afford tickets, especially the jacked up rates now? I hate for one thing, I hate the blackout rule because if you are not that good, I mean, they're trying to do it to keep from quote unquote embarrassment. That show that really empty stadium, like in Baltimore or whatever.
So what I do is, okay, so the Carolina Panthers, I think they're the ones who really started it. I may be wrong on that. Do a fan fest, and basically it's just an evening scrimmage at Bank of America Stadium for all of the fans to come watch, and it's just players playing each other. I refuse to go. I went one time and I felt really, really bad because to me, Fan Fest is for people. I'm fortunate. Don't think I don't know how lucky I am because I do. I'm very blessed. I don't flaunt it, but I know it. And I get to go watch my guys play football every home game. And I don't go because not everybody, there are other football fans that are just as passionate as I am that can't go.
Yeah.
And so I made that decision. I know it's only 1-2 tickets for Alton and I, that there's 2 other people out there that can go, that can spend that total $10 to go and watch the players play, get autographs, do that stuff, and live their lives. And that's what was important to me personally.
Nice.
Here's my thing. I have a question with myself. People talk about the concessions. We know what the concessions are and everything. People are worried about the empty seats, and then they will jack up the cost of the concessions. Why, if people are sneaking food in, like in movie theaters, for instance, if people are sneaking food in, why have so many concessions and just let them do that? Then you don't have to buy the food by itself, and then you have less cost. Because people are going to sneak food in anyway.
Here's what they need to do, to be honest with you. So at Carowinds, which is a top 10 amusement park in the United States, Scott, I know you're familiar with it. Jacob, you should be. Jay, yes. I don't know if you are or not.
I'm not.
But it's humongous. Anyhow, it's top 10. Like when I moved to New Mexico and they were like, oh, let's go to the amusement park. I'm thinking in my naivety, it's going to be the size of Carowinds. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Well, let me tell you.
But what Carowinds does is they do sell a season ticket or season cup for the season for you to go fill up your cup, and you just bring it back to that's what the arenas need to do. Sell it for $20.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting money, you're getting profit. It costs you still 10-15 cents to fill up a soda.
And I completely agree with you on that. And that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying that is a lot of the reason the prices are jacked up, whether it's tickets to food to everything like that, is because the costs are more. I used to deliver for a minute. I delivered beer to minor league stadiums for about 2 months. Like these big old kegs and everything like that. Got more and more expensive. It was heavy work as hell. But I'm like, you see this, and it gets more and more and more expensive. It's like, then you take down the cost a little bit. Give people a chance to come to the stadium.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a chance to fill that
stadium. I figured out
when
this summer for the 4th of July, we went to a minor league baseball game, and we got sweet tickets for it. Y'all, hand to God, I'm not going to a baseball game any other way ever again. Because after you add in the price of the tickets, price of concessions, knowing the food that I had access to up there, everything included for $50, I spend more than that on my ticket price and getting a mini pizza and a or a thingy of popcorn and a drink.
Wow.
But
And it was good food, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very good food.
Yeah. But it's like, that's the thing there is like, people don't go to the stadium because, same as they don't go to the movie theaters. It is jacked up so much because they have to, and I'm not going to blame the stadiums. They are the prices.
Movie theaters are a different story though, Jacob, because movie theaters only make profits off of concessions. They don't make profit off of the actual.
Oh yeah, no, 10%. They only make 10% off the theater, like 5% off Epics.
Yeah, and so they only make so that's the concessions are where they make their money.
Yeah.
So we'll say the stadiums. So we'll say the stadiums. I truly believe by itself that these places, whether they have to like limit the amount and then people bring it to the stadium, you got to find a way, because very few stadiums truly selling out right now. You got to find a way to get people to the ballpark.
The thing is people didn't recover from the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, anybody who is surprised that the country's headed towards a recession, the world is headed towards a recession after
it's already there.
Yeah.
If they are surprised, I knew as soon as the pandemic hit, when's the recession coming?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, let's go ahead and hit our next topic, gentlemen.
Sure.
Karl Anthony Towns and his mission for good health after COVID. So who wants to lead us off?
I'll do that because I started this one.
That's what I thought.
The biggest thing with Karl Anthony Towns is we had to hear a couple of the players were talking about how this was bogus, that he's telling people about him not eating Popeyes, him doing all that. A couple of players did that. But here is the thing. People think, they're not there because people have a bad memory now, because this has only been 2 years. It's only been 2 years, but 2 years is like 75 in internet speak. It just is. People don't remember this stuff. He's not talking about the guy's six-pack abs. He's not talking about stamina on the court. The guy lost his mom and six of his relatives, like 3 uncles, in about 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing of him and he did get COVID twice. And the whole thing about it was, the whole thing they're saying something like this is the fact he's talking about diet. And because this is the thing that COVID did not do, the COVID situation did not do. They said mask, and they said 6 feet apart, which was a pain in the ass all the time to watch. Scroll. That scroll was down there the whole time. They didn't say anything about proper sleep, which I got wonderful amount. They didn't say anything about like vitamin C or any of that. They didn't say any of that kind of stuff. This is stuff that Karl Anthony Towns would probably agree with me with. They didn't say any of this stuff with health. They were saying the stuff that is just like the fear factor. They're saying the fear factor, and all I was bringing up with that is people are thinking in such a surface term of him saying, "Oh, he needs to quit eating Popeyes because he needs to get stamina or needs to be in better shape." No, this guy's life changed. He lost pretty much his whole family. Yeah. He lost his family to COVID, and he knows darn good and well from his own perspective and everything. He had COVID twice. You got to get healthy. You need to get your health up to get your immune system up.
Right. You know where he
He cares about his people. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I agree with that, because that was one topic that was going on during the pandemic. Is like, you know what? They always tell you, mask up, stay inside, stay inside, stay inside. You know what else also builds your immune system? Being out in sunlight. Yep. But they wanted people to stay inside. So I absolutely agree with him, because on his mission for good health, because for that exact reason, he lost all his family members in a short amount of time. Somewhere along the line, he grew the train of thought that nothing is promised you. I just lost 4 people close to me, or 6 people close to me, in a 4-month time period. So, maybe this also is a message that I need to look out for myself, because we don't know what's coming on later. You see the monkeypox hit, RSV is going around right now. No one knows. We all went through the swine flu thing back in 2010. I know, because I caught it. We went through the SARS breakout back in 2002. You don't know what's next. And so basically, with him practicing good health, he's prepared not only to combat COVID, but whatever may come next. So that I feel like is going to absolutely help them in the long run. I agree with his mindset. Scott, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, you know what? I lost my aunt who was like a sister to me. She's the closest family member in my life that I have outside of my grandmother many years ago. And when you lose like an older sister, somebody that's that close to you, if that doesn't humble the heck out of you, I don't know what does.
Sure.
I definitely agree with Jacob. Okay. Carl Anthony Towns lost a lot of family members because of this whole thing. Knock on wood. I hope I'm not cursing myself as I hit the road tomorrow. I haven't had it COVID yet. I haven't. Okay. And I've been traveling a lot to different places around the country and have masked up and tried to really be careful. And when I've covered sporting events, they've kept us away from a general population, so I don't have to deal with that. But the reality is, I've had family members with it. My brother, my sister-in-law, my dad hasn't had it, knock on wood. And there are other family members, but thankfully they were not hit fatal because of it. But, I understand where Carl Anthony Towns, I breathe him. And if you lose just even one close family member, to me, that's bad enough, let alone a pandemic the way it is. And I even look at it in a different way, that my livelihood was affected immensely because now instead of going to games, going into locker rooms, I'm doing Zoom calls, competing with other reporters for the same content, and it's compromised what I'm able to do. Let that be the least of my problems, knowing that people are dying because of it and that we didn't take the necessary precautions ahead of time to get the vaccines earlier, and other political figures took it lightly. I'm not going politically on it. I'm just making a simple point that there was a
So,
pandemic.
I'm going to make a shameless plug here. Two things. Sorry to interrupt you, Scott. One, if anybody needs any health insurance, hit up my friend Benny Locklear Jr. He's one of my good friends. He also owns an insurance brokerage company, Try Insurance.
And he looks good in a blue tie.
I mean, he just looks good. He's a good looking dude. He's my buddy. Okay, it's Try Insurance, or you can PM me also. Anyway, and one other thing. Hold on, Jacob.
Yeah.
So one thing that Tom said on Monday was, after the 115 to 106 loss to the Spurs, was, it's on me because, so the Minnesota Timberwolves center said he plans on stepping up and helping Edwards change his diet so his co-star's conditioning improves. Maybe I can do a better job of teaching him how to take care of his body, diet, and everything, Towns told reporters after Monday's 115 to 106 loss to the Spurs. That's on me. I know y'all think it's funny up here when he talks about Popeyes and all that. That doesn't make me happy to hear. We're high-level athletes, but also that falls on me too. That old cliche falls on you. Everyone wants to take the blame, but it's on all of us. What Towns needs to do, because he's right, what you eat is who you are.
Yep.
And this small little town north of North Charlotte, it's called Kannapolis. Scott, I know you're familiar with it.
Yep.
It actually used to house this thing called Cannon Manufacturing. All of y'all had their towels and home goods in your home when you were growing up. Every last one of you.
Okay.
That being said, they went bankrupt, whatever. Anyway, now what they've done is they partnered with Wake Forest, Duke, App, UNC, UNCC, UNC Pembroke, all the North Carolina state schools. UGA is involved, I believe. Several South Carolina state schools as well. And they're really focusing on how diet truly does affect every facet of your being. And what one green bean will do to one person versus another person. It's so interesting. It's actually why Google Fiber came to North Carolina.
Nice.
Right,
Google Fiber first launched in Kannapolis after Silicon Valley, of course.
Nice.
So here's what my thing was. I'll give you guys a real quick story on this. When COVID hit, I lived with my brother. We rented a house together. Hit 1 month after we moved in. That tells you, and everything. I made a conscious decision. I'm going to go live my life as I want to anyway, because I didn't have myself a job. I had actually a month before lost. Every one of us got removed from our jobs. So all I was doing was delivering anyway. I decided I'm just going to live as I did. meaning, and you know the story, Jen. I did not. It's like I said, I was in. See, Georgia was lightened up a little bit. It lightened up a little bit. It's like other than a couple of months, it opened up fast. But either way, though, I was outside all the time. I delivered all the time. I only masked up in the grocery stores, like because I had to go get food. You have to give it. You can't just go be a brutal. But my main reason I did that was because I know it was a conscious effort for your body needs to work. Your body needs to work. Your immune system needs to work. And I wanted my immune system to be able to work. Knock on wood, I never got it. But my main thing was to stay outside a lot more. And I just did what I always did to begin with, wash my hands. You know, one great thing also, I lost 28 pounds during that time. I lost 28 pounds during that time. I moved around. I also had a lot more vitamin C. I was outside all the time, moved around, and I slept better.
All right.
I slept. And it's like sleep is so, these are things that are not under that scroll. And you brought up the whole thing with outside people wanting people to stay in. If it's like I said, that's what the air is for. And it's like, we didn't see that on the scroll, though. It was all fear. And
well,
I wanted to.
In Charlotte, they were telling people to go outside. They were telling people not to go into bars and restaurants. But they were telling people to, like, you know, still order, pick it up, take it home. But to go to the parks, to go, like, they were telling people to, like, go outside, take walks, go for runs, go for bike rides, things like that. Do individual sports and independent sports. If you were going to do group exercise, go outside. Living uptown, do you also know how many group exercise classes I saw going on at Ramir Bearden at any given time? It was really freaking cool.
And you know what? And that's really good on Charlotte, you know. But that's Charlotte. Did you see it in any mainstream media? I never once saw CNN say it. I never once saw any other like mainstream, national or worldwide. Right. I personally have never seen any of them say, "Go walk outside and get some sun." It was always stay in.
Oh,
right. To me, every single mainstream media antagonizes. You've got Fox antagonizing the extreme right. You've got CNN antagonizing both sides. You've got MSNBC antagonizing the extreme left. So I kind of avoid those.
And the biggest thing was I was in Atlanta. Obviously, I'm in Atlanta. They were pretty light in comparison to a lot of places. I also saw Mom 6 times that year. 4 of the times I went to Illinois. I did the same thing in Illinois as I did in Georgia. In Georgia, you literally had like a couple of aunt or uncle like people going, now don't forget your mask, you know, that kind of thing, like that. They're being nice and all that stuff. But I did not get the Karens.
I loved not getting sick for 2 years.
No, but
I'm gonna still wear my mask when I go back to work because I don't trust people.
I ain't wearing the damn thing mask. I won't wear that shit. But it's like, but the biggest.
But you know what? Art, like I wear the Wells Fargo mask.
But my biggest thing was, about it was, I mean, when I went to Illinois, I did the same darn things I did, and it was like I had 6 turds growing out of my eyes. It just was. It's like everybody was completely different, but at the same time, it's like you've got to be able to trust your own body. And I get what you were saying, Jen, but my main thing was that what made me make that decision was there was that Broadway actor Cordero who passed away. He was 41 years old, had a brand new kid, and he was perfect health, and it caught him. And he had to have a double lung transplant before he just ended up dying. And then Jack Nicklaus gets it a week later. 80 years old, he's stumbling around he's stumbling around like Fetterman over in Pennsylvania. Everything like that. Heck, sneeze, cough, done. Both he and his wife, and they're in their 80s. And I'm like, this is the weirdest, oddest virus we don't know anything about. And I'm like, I am just going to take my chances. And knock on wood, thank God I did not get it, but I wanted my body to work. Because there are people now getting sick ridiculously wearing that mask constantly. They get COVID, they get other sicknesses. They have not let their body work.
No, wrong. Sorry, I disagree with that statement. That's an assumption. There's no fact to back that up.
Go ahead, Scott. I'll bring you on in a second.
No, that's all right. I just want to bring up a few points that I tried to bring up earlier, Jennifer. Okay, so maybe they're still fresh in my head. All right. Number one, Pardon me?
Is it okay, Scott?
I
Sorry,
just
yes, I was just letting you know I heard you.
okay. All right. So the reality is this. Okay, when you lose a close family member like I did, if that isn't a humbling thing, but she ended up getting hurt, outside of her house because she was mowing the lawn and fell, and then you wind up in a hospital. Then you don't know who's protected. That's a bad thing, anyways.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's the thing I want to point out, that whether you're outside or you're not, if you land in a medical facility with all kinds of things, you're in really big trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were.
That's where it really stung quite a bit. Now, to make things even more interesting in Florida, okay, I hear the Charlotte, I hear the Georgia stuff, but we have those things called beaches, and people aren't wearing masks out here, and they're taking this whole thing for granted. It's just unreal how so many people take it for granted, and you know what you're supposed to do. Yeah, the 6 feet apart may be something you don't particularly like, but you have to do it. Yes, you want to get your body active as well to do what you've got to do. But the circumstances around the pandemic and the fact that Karl Anthony Towns, as we know, he's doing everything he can to stay healthy and taking the proactive part. But I'm going to go back to what Jacob said earlier, okay, that when your life is turned upside down because you lose a lot of family members, that is a recipe for problems. But again, I reinforce the fact that my aunt was scared to get it, and because she was in a nursing home rehab, the people around her weren't protected, and you're really helpless at that point because she couldn't get the necessary assistance that she was paying to get. And that's the one thing that people tend to overlook with COVID-19. I know, even though I was sick a little bit here and there with other ailments, I told my wife, I'm not going in the hospital. I'll tough it out. And I never had to go in the hospital.
Right.
But there was one instance when I had a concussion where my wife and my sister-in-law forced me to go anyhow, but my wife had to stay outside is what she had to do because they wouldn't let her in. And then I had to phone her to let her know when we get in. So there's a lot of things about this whole virus that so many people have to be aware of. And I'm glad that Karl Anthony Towns survived it, and even though he had it a couple times, and he's one of the better basketball players in the league, and more power to the kids. So that's what
I'll actually add on to you, Scott, if that's okay.
What's that?
And I said I'll add on to you.
Sure.
2 hours before my mother-in-law passed,
okay,
I get a phone call from her nursing home, and this was in July, that there had been a COVID outbreak. And so, that was literally 2 hours before we got the phone call that my mother-in-law passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
But April, I wanted to say this, and it's like, thank you for responding.
And April's my girl.
Hey, I wanted to say thank you for that. The main thing about it is there's a big difference with someone like April here and a lot of other people. April's done this for 20 years.
Yeah.
She has it as a habit. I respect that more than the ones that did it out of fear and then just thought that they were being healthy. And I wanted to just say this, Jen. We have a doctor where I work. He is addicted to that mask. Addicted. I don't
Does
think
he
I've been there 4 months. I've been there 4 months. I don't think I've seen half of his face, the other half of his face. I don't think. He is addicted. He goes outside, he goes through everything. He's also gotten COVID twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he is literally, he's he protects his dad. There is that, and I understand that part. But at some point, you're a doctor. You should understand your body.
Yeah,
so you should also go ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
Oh, no, I was going to say real quick, that's why, in my humble opinion, through the whole thing, the best way to combat it is to get your immune system up. Because it's entirely possible for you to wear your mask and still catch it. Not a lot of people talk about this, but it can enter in through the eyes. Now, the only way that you want to, and this sounds ridiculous, if you wore a hazmat suit, you'd be 100% good, But who's going to walk around in a hazmat suit 24/7, So the best way is to get granted, yes, wear your mask, social distance if you got to, you know what I mean? But get your immune system up. My 2 best friends on this planet, they've got a cabinet full of vitamins. They eat their seaweed. They do all of that. They go outside, they get sun and everything. And that is what the news was not saying.
Exactly.
Well,
that's what the news was not saying.
The thing is, studies have also shown that you have to switch out your masks.
Yes.
So you do so Jacob, in your case with your doctor, Alton and I think we had it before it became a thing because we went to a party in December of 2019. It was a very much an international affair party. Like, I mean, it was just like real chill. Like, but people like our friend who was hosting the party had friends who had just literally come back from traveling from China, India, Italy, UK, Australia, New Zealand. That may have been the same party actually. Like all over the world. Like he's from another country as well. But and we got sick. He out and got worse than I did. Like, but I was just very lethargic. And we don't know if we had it or not. But at the end of the day, we did shut down. We didn't go. We gave up our Hornet season tickets, obviously. We gave up doing certain things. Like we worked from home for 2.5 years. And ironically, we get along a lot better when we lived in a one-bedroom apartment.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know what? Let me add one thing that was really crazy because when my mom died in 2020 of November, my wife and I had to stay in a hotel for like 2.5 weeks, and we got nothing but carry-outs just to take to the hotel. And that was just, and I lost my mom because of COPD finally. And then I ended up having to fly back to Detroit when my aunt passed away. So you talk about
That's a good idea, April.
In about 8 weeks, and let alone staying in a hotel for 2.5 weeks, when you can't go anywhere. At that time, there was no vaccine. That was the most awkward, difficult situation. I couldn't get it. I didn't want my dad to get sick, and my mom was dying. So it was really a very difficult situation to deal with. But we had to go to the grocery store, fill our hotel room up, cooking. Thankfully, I had an extended stay at that time, and we were able to live out of the hotel. And
so now that Scott, I'm going to interrupt you, Jacob. I'm sorry. So now that Scott and I've started our own version of WWE, let's go ahead and change topics to the chat.
Real quick, let me say something to April. Real fast.
April Ann.
April Ann, I appreciate you and thank you very much for responding on that and with everything because we love having everybody around and we do thank Jen for getting her onto that the show. And
I love April Ann. She and I used to work together.
Ann, this is the thing. One of my worries, I'm not going to say real fears. I don't do the fears thing too much, but one of my worries during this whole thing, and this is not me just being redneck. I'm not a redneck. I'm not being redneck. No, I ain't going to get it. That's fake. I ain't GQP. No, I ain't doing that. This is a conscious decision in my head. One of the worries I have had with the idea of wearing masks around a ton. I've seen that doctor. I've seen all of this type of thing, get it twice and everything. It really worries me that I could really lose my immune system to the thing, to having it on a lot. I might not get the same sicknesses. Like the only sickness I've gotten over 2 years has been a sinus infection. Oh, probably a year ago. It was a pretty ugly sinus infection, but it was a regular type thing that I would get every year. And I do worry about my body not getting the same sicknesses that it would get in the past.
Here's the deal at the end of the day. Every single one of us has a different immune system. My father had COVID. My mother slept in the same bed as my father for the first week.
Yeah.
The doctor asked my mom where she was sleeping. She told him. He looked at her and said, "Go in this guest bedroom now." She did that. My mother never got COVID. She wasn't even a carrier.
Yeah.
It definitely affects people.
People get affected different ways.
Yeah.
So we say build your immunity. You know what? Different people's immune systems are different. So Jay, you're right in that respect. But at the end of the day, you've got to be true to you. You've got to listen to your body. Yeah. You have to know who you are. Yep. And that's what Scott was saying earlier as well. You've got to listen to who you are. When
April Ann does the same thing.
Jay, you can attest to this. Alton and I made a deal. We were not going to go to, sorry, Bella, to Santa Fe's hospital because they had a history of you walking in with one thing and you coming out with 10 different things and never been treated for the one thing. We had a deal that we would either, if we could, drive to Denver for a real hospital or go to Albuquerque in case of emergency and then get a helicopter to Denver.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
and-
it's
and
about
think-
because
But we really do need to move on to the Shaq topic, you guys.
You bet.
All right. So we're going to talk about Shaq, Hulk Hogan, MC Hammer, Deion Sanders, and the impact of superstar pairings. I don't know who came up with this topic.
That would be
but
him.
That would be. I was thinking it was you, Jay. Okay.
So okay. Obviously, we we brought this up on Basket Bros. You know, with Shaquille O'Neal and him being the entity, because here's a man who came in and within his first 4 years, he already was a larger than life household name, just like Hulk Hogan. So when you pair the two together, you get double in popularity. You know, I remember way back MC Hammer and Deion Sanders. So at the time period, you had the most entertaining rapper in the game with the most entertaining player. You know, everyone remembers back. What was it? Another case would be Drake and Johnny Manziel. You know, Manziel, Mr. Heisman, and then you have one of the best artists in the game. You know, pairing up together. The impact when you get things like this, because you look at like Shaq Hulk Hogan, for example. Now here you have Shaq. He's like 7 feet. You know, 315 pounds. You have Hulk Hogan. He's like 6'5". You know, 295 pounds. You have these both larger than life figures, and it's like, you know, worlds colliding. You know, and then with MC Hammer and Deion Sanders, see, they have to be similar in personality in order for this to work. MC Hammer was flashy. Deion Sanders was flashy. And then you look at Johnny Manziel and Drake. You know, Drake had that, you know, he's got that fast lifestyle, you know, party, you know, semi-flashy type deal. So is Johnny Manziel, you know, especially with his play on the field. So that's how that situation worked. You know, when you have, you know, and these things have been going on since the, you know, for the longest. But, you know, whenever you have an artist or a whole nother entity sort of cross over worlds and eat good, take vitamins. Yeah, say your prayers, take your vitamins, and train hard. Hulkamania.
Yeah.
But I brought this topic up, you know, because I feel like whenever you have entities like this come together, I think it does really good for multiple businesses. It brings in, you know, 2 times the money, 3 times the money even. You know, when you have someone like Deion Sanders and he's there with this, you know, gold and diamond 21 chain, he's got his earrings, he's flashy. MC Hammer, same thing, you know, they both dress well. It's like, wow, these guys look and smell like money. Now you have other entities who want to come in and do business with them, and they end up crossing worlds, and it's great. But I don't know, Jacob, what do you think?
Well, the thing I think about is you brought up Shaq and Hulk Hogan, and realize starting from 1982, Rocky 3.
Mm-hmm.
Starting from 1982, he gets on Carson. Johnny Carson in 82. Go all the way to the Rock and Wrestling. To get into his own movie. Be able to work with Shaq. Oh, yeah, before that, Dolly Parton. The Dolly Parton thing. Then it was Cyndi Lauper.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you got
9 to 5.
The what?
9 to 5.
No. He wasn't on 9 to 5. No, but it was another deal. He was on a I have to go find it, but he was on a music video with Dolly Parton, and he actually took her at the Country Music Awards. But the biggest thing about it is go all the way to that. Then you do Shaq and Hogan. Then you do Hogan with Leno and Malone and Rodman. Then with Rodman on the NWO, go all the way to his last real big pop with in the Dallas, you know, Dallas like 2007 to 2010 or something, you know, with LeBron James in Dallas when they're on the sideline. That's 25 straight years of a pop like that. And I'm like, there are not too many celebrities that even have that where they could show all the pictures and all the thing of the different worlds that they lived in and had that same thing. He and Ric Flair are the same.
Yeah.
So my favorite 2 Deion moments were when he went and stood on the Dallas Cowboy stars. Sorry, Megan, I love you, girl.
That was great.
I knew you would appreciate that, Jay. But I will say, I think MC Hammer's probably a lot more humble than Dion.
He is. He is a lot more humble, but he most definitely was flashy. He wasn't as
absolutely.
loud as Dion, but he definitely was more flashy. I mean, come on now. Like shimmery hammer pants, you could get no more flashier than shimmery hammer pants.
You couldn't. Scott, you had a pair, didn't you?
I think so.
I think he
Those
still
are his
does.
bed-
I
those
think
are
he
his
still
bedtime
does.
pants.
Don't you, Scott? You still have the shimmery hammer pants, don't you? In your closet from the MC Hammer days.
Hey,
You're at
those
Carowinds
are his
Pavilion with
bedtime
me
pants.
at the MC Hammer New Kids concert, weren't you?
Well,
You know what? But Jacob, he actually brought up an interesting point with the whole Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman, because on the other side of things, you had Diamond Dallas Page and Karl Malone. Now, just the prior month, they met up in the NBA Finals, and they carried that into a wrestling storyline. And see, this is why I brought this up, because yes, but if you think about it, all of it makes sense because it's business and it's crossing worlds and it's money for both. Both entities can eat. The NBA is going to eat off of Shaq. Wrestling's going to eat off of Hulk Hogan. You put the two together, oh shoot, that's box office. That's box office. MC Hammer and Dion were box office. You know, so
he did do Cribs. You're right, Abraham. You're right. He did do Cribs.
And the biggest
I
thing,
think both MC and Dion did Cribs. Didn't they both do it?
I think so.
You know, the only thing I'll say pertaining to this topic is this. I would love to see Shaq and Hulk Hogan on the golf course together.
I
really think about it. I don't know how far they'll hit
like this.
I mean, in fact, for that matter, I would like to see Charles Barkley and Hulk Hogan on the golf course together with that swing of his. I mean, but I'm thinking about it. You got all these guys that are big. I mean, listen, years ago when they held a event over at the Palace of Auburn Hills, I had a chance to interview Shaquille O'Neal, and boy, is he a big sucker. I'm telling you. Of course, the biggest one I've ever interviewed was Rick Smits. And I had an opportunity on Sunday to hang around Udonis Haslam. I wasn't on the show, but I was causing trouble.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, and I actually have a photo.
The enforcer, UD.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, I asked him a question, actually, over the weekend, whether I thought after his NBA days were over, would he consider getting involved with NASCAR like Brad Doherty and Michael Jordan? And he never ruled out the possibility. But let your imaginations run amok here. Think about it. How would you like to see Hulk Hogan and Shaquille O'Neal on the golf course in a celebrity pro-am kind of thing? You know, I like out in is it Lake Tahoe where they had those things where Tony Romo participates? Can you imagine what these guys would look like on a golf? I don't think the golf ball would go 100 miles an hour. I think the club would go further.
I think it would make a ton of money for golf because again, you have two larger than life personalities, and you know, depending on whether they go to live or anything like that, you know. But it's like, wow, hold on a second. Now I know these guys are retired; they're up there in age, but we got two larger than life personalities that were absolute legends for their time. We have Shaquille O'Neal, who is arguably a top 5 center all time. We have Hulk Hogan, who is arguably a top 5 wrestler of all time. And both of them want to come play golf with us.
Right.
Like, I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be great.
Foursome as fast as that.
However,
I think it'd be incredible to watch. I mean,
However, Hulk would he has no hips left, so he'd be just stumbling, and his swing would look worse than Barkley's.
Would they be singing "You Can't Touch This"?
I wouldn't worry about it. All of Hulk Hogan's stuff would wind up on that TikTok anyways, a little 30-second to a minute vibe of them.
Here's the thing. With this world now, see, that was big then, though, but this world now of internet, of TikTok, of Snap, of all of that kind of stuff, with all that now, that's nothing anymore to be able to see. Because especially now, these athletes are owning entities. Like they're talking about LeBron, Tom Brady, and Kevin Durant own these pickleball leagues, these pickleball teams. They're getting into and then Magic Johnson's trying to get in with the Raiders. So is Barack Obama. Barack Obama, I said that about that today. Barack Obama's trying to get himself in with with the team. He's trying to get in with an NFL team. I believe it's the Raiders also. He's trying these things. I'm just saying this is a time now with all of this. It's not back then it was larger than life. This is larger
I
than life
don't
now.
want a former president being a part of any NFL team. And if we already think there's referees cheating now, that'll definitely happen.
Right.
Yeah, but
I don't care what political party, by the way. I really don't care if it's the purple party.
Yeah,
I
but
just don't want to happen. And I just made up a party. But
let me mention something in the past that maybe you guys were aware of or not. Many years ago when I was growing up, okay, gray beard and all, not back then it was.
Were you born with a gray beard?
Yeah. No. Hey, I was waiting for that to come out, by the way. I knew I was just waiting for this.
Yeah, I saw that and I texted Jay and I was like, LMAO, the counter.
But I gotta update that.
Hey, when you had the Battle of the Network Stars, where you had stars.
Oh, yeah.
That to me was the most interesting competition I've ever seen. I think they had one of them out in Rotunda, Florida. They used to have them all over Florida. I think it was fun to watch a lot of those cross-sport people participating in events like swimming, obstacles. It was really good.
Well, and here's the thing. When this was going on, did we have missing bucks? Like we do now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I swear Dan Snyder is under a different name on the NCAA board of directors because he loves having multiple sets of books and things disappearing and people go missing. I swear he and Ron L. Hubbard are really good friends. Just saying.
Can you imagine that, though? Battle of the Network Stars where you cross over from one sport to another to try to compete.
And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
So tell us about what's going on with this lawsuit, Jacob. I know I saw the tweet about it earlier. I accidentally tweeted from 3 Chicks to Twitter. Then I deleted it because I didn't want to go political on that Twitter.
Well, the thing was, G versus NCAA is basically there was a UFC player named Matthew G who died, and his wife wanted to sue because he had repetitive concussions. And they were basically doing nothing throughout the whole situation. And it's like, in the meantime of this whole deal, they found out a bunch of sports science books are gone. And we now have a situation. It's like, here's the thing. Are they hiding the books by themselves? Someone steal them? And you're right. The Dan Snyder thing doesn't, I mean, it's a joke, but it makes sense. You know, you have something along those lines. And the biggest issue I have with something like this is the fact that how long did this take? I mean, did it have to take someone dying to get this out there? Because there's been concussions all the time. There has been, it's like, we go back to the 1990. We go back to, remember Mike Webster. Remember Mike Webster, Scott?
I'm sorry.
We go back to Mike Webster. We talk about this thing. He died of young age because he had all those head injuries. And you would have thought all of that would have done anything. It did not. These lawsuits on the NFL, you would think they would have done something. No, it takes this. And now someone's trying to hide something. I want to know what's going on.
Exactly.
There's got to be some kind of hidden agenda because, I mean, and not to get political or anything like that, so I'll just say it real quick. But you got states that are burning books. Usually whenever something comes up missing or destroyed, they're trying to hide something in anything that
Watergate.
You know.
That being said,
go ahead, Jen.
We need to continue this conversation next week, I believe.
Absolutely.
Hey, why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, well. So let's see. Confidential, we're in the off season. However, we're gonna have a one-off show in November, following the World Series. It'll be like the first or second week of November. But more to come on that one. We're gonna do one a month until February when we'll be back in full force with a new start time. So no more slumber parties. Then also Wednesday right here with these fine people with Jen, Jacob, and Scott Morganroth for the Pundits Pundit. Also Fridays, the Gauntlet, myself, Dom, JJ, James Tatum, hottest and latest in NFL talk. We go over the games and everything, your favorite and mine sports moron of the week, as well as Gauntlet Grinders. So definitely check into that. The poll will go up tonight on Player of the Week. So check me out on Twitter at NellieNell13. That's NellieNell13 on Twitter. Go in there and vote for who you want us to cover for Player of the Week. And then also Basketballs on Sunday. Myself, Dom, Will Vogel, Scott Morganroth, and Jacob Christner.
And Scott, you tell the people where they can find you, please, sir.
All right. Well, you know what? On Twitter, find me at Tribune South. It's at Tribune South. Most of all, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel where you get to see all of us. Obviously, Denzel's going to be in the rotation when I get back from Detroit. I obviously have an early morning flight. I have to be out of there, but he's definitely targeting for a sports exchange after that. So at Tribune South, where you can find me there. And www.southfloridatribune.com is how you can get us through the website. So there you have it, the triple crown of my contact information at Tribune South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Please subscribe. And, of course, I mentioned the website, www.southfloridatribune.com. There you go.
And what podcast is next? And what podcast is tomorrow night?
Oh, we have... Thank you very much, Jennifer. We got the Sports Exchange following Pundits Pundit and Inside the Pigskin tomorrow. But Candy Ebling will be hosting it.
Girl
tomorrow.
power, baby.
Yeah, your teammate on the Chicks and Salsa podcast. I'll be on the road tomorrow, causing all kinds of havoc with a advertising truck.
Watch it, Jay, or you're going to be our first guest. Watch it.
Hey, if y'all are Chicks and Salsa, I'll be the guacamole.
I'm looking forward to that time, Jennifer, being a guest on your show.
You will be a guest on our show, Scott. I promise you.
Oh, I have no doubt about you, Jennifer. No doubt about it, Jennifer. My partner from another partner.
Exactly. And I think you forgot one of your other podcasts.
Well, it was last night.
That was last night.
Did you last night?
We had Inside. We had 108 Stitches Baseball Talk last night. So that was a good show. And I'll tell you what, Jordan and Will do an incredible job. And I love JB Ellis. He's my brother from another mother too. I could drive this guy.
And the same goatee, only darker.
Jay has a man crush. So does Jacob.
Well, let me tell you, JB Ellis.
I have a girl crush on his wife.
JB Ellis is a younger brother to me. And you know what? We're texting practically every day anyhow. So we can game plan to make sure that Sideline Sports and the South Florida Tribune can be a dynamite 1-2 punch. And we got bigger things ahead of us.
Exactly.
I need to put a hat with myself, just like JB's always say, JB Ellis's man crush.
I'm changing your name.
Right.
Well, there aren't many times when people don't get a no comment, but you got one there. All I know is he's a good partner and a good friend and a younger brother, and call it whatever you want. But JB to me is a reason.
Scott, I said Jay and Jake, not you.
Okay.
I know yours is strictly platonic.
Well, Jacob could get a backwards hat, a Sideline Sports backwards hat, but instead of his name on the front, it would say Trade DeGrom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
All right, Jacob, so they can find you.
Exactly. Trade DeGrom, nice. No, I am that on Twitter. I'm at Jake the Pundit. Then Sunday nights I am on, and also Facebook, of course, Jacob Christner. And then I'm on Sunday nights on Basket Bros. Monday nights during the season, NBA Carousel, Megan Price. Tuesday nights during the season, Confidential. Thank God, no more 11 o'clocks. Wednesday nights here, doubleheader, the Pundits Pundit, and on Scott Morganroth's Sports Exchange. I'm onto that. Thursday nights, not tomorrow night because of a emergency, but most of the other nights would be with TJ Sanson for Yin and Yang, which is not sports. It is psychology. It is movies. It is politics. Lots of different things. And a lot of people are starting to get interested right now, with this thing. It's like 5 shows in, so I'm happy. So a lot of things going on. Plus, I'm helping make a movie or two.
All right. And me, during the non-football season, I help out these wonderful 3 gentlemen with Basket Bros, but it's football season, and that's my passion. I don't know if y'all picked up on that or not, but y'all need to check out Basket Bros if you haven't already. It's a great show. There's some hyperbole, but it's a great show. Well researched. Our guys, really put everything into it. We also have during the season, and we're starting in January, the NBA Carousel. Megan Price's Queen of Hoops NBA Carousel that Jay and Jacob are both a part of. Scott, I don't know if you're a part of that yet. We may be working on that. And then
What's that?
NBA Carousel.
Oh, I haven't been on that one. All I know is basketball.
We haven't had it yet this year. We're starting in January. Also on Monday nights. Oh, Monday nights are free right now. That's right. Okay. Tuesday nights, I have Chicks and Salsa with my girls Candy. Scott knows Candy rather intimately.
Scott knows
Carrie
Candy
and Megan. We also have 3 chicks in a pod, and it rotates between the 4 of us as well. And that's just chicks talking sports, and that 4-letter network stole our idea, so I'll take it as a compliment, and we may be talking to whoever we can. Anyway, but not really. I'm just talking stuff. On Tuesday nights, confidential during the season, as Jay mentioned, we have a show in November. Then also on Wednesday nights, but tonight we have a special takeover of the sports arena. Chicks and Salsa are taking over the sports arena, gentlemen.
And real quick, I wanted to thank Jay for this. Sometimes, every once in a while, I'm a guest on the Gauntlet, and I wanted to appreciate Jay for giving me that chance in those times too. It's a great time. It's a great time all the time.
And Jay, I want to thank you for not giving me a chance since this past summer when Dom invited me. It's okay.
I should point out, Dom's another good contributor for us. I love the guy's energy.
I love Dom.
Yeah. I wish I had time in Detroit to go ahead and see him, but I'm only going to be there for just a few hours. But we talked about it when I get there again. Dom is the guy I'll definitely connect with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also on Thursday nights, I have Inside the Pigskin as well as Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. Friday nights, nothing. Saturdays, nothing. And Sundays, basketballs that I help produce during the non-football season and during the football season when Jay needs me to step in.
She is the best producer.
Out, guys. Go ahead and check out Inside the Sports Exchange. And then check out the Sports Arena later on after this show. Thanks for checking us out, you guys.
And Jen, you are the best producer. I couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, Jacob. Love you. Love you, JB's goatee. Sorry. I saw JB. I'm sorry, Jay. I was going for you, dude.
Yeah, job well done.